So I would want my family to understand the profundity of these deficits, because inattention hardly captures what is going wrong in development. Now, the DSM says there are 3 kinds of ADHD. Let's shift gears here and get honest. There is not a combined inattentive or hyperactive type, and DSM-5 will abandon them. They are contaminated with each other because there really is only a single ADHD in the human population, and it varies in its severity, and all these types have done is to capture the degree of severity of a single disorder. So we are now grappling for ways of subgrouping people with ADHD that is more clinically useful than the DSM view is, because the DSM view is useless. And one of those ways that is very compelling is ADHD with and without conduct disorder. The Europeans have done this for decades. In the North American continent, we viewed conduct disorder as a comorbidity. We are now looking at it as a subgrouping criteria. Because you see, ADHD children who have conduct disorder differ from ADHD children without it in many, many respects. So many, in fact, that we are now coming to think of this subset of children who have both disorders as a unique form of ADHD. Because both disorders are more severe. Both disorders start earlier. Both disorders are far more persistent. And the combination of these disorders will predict ongoing difficulties with antisocial behavior into adulthood. And just as important, these individuals carry a high risk for psychopathy. 1 in 5 of these children is a budding psychopath, a child who lacks guilt, conscience, empathy, and remorse, a child who is a predator. ADHD does not contribute to psychopathy, but ADHD with conduct disorder is the single best predictor of the psychopath that we know of. So in the future, we may be making the same distinction the Europeans have, that when conduct disorder and ADHD go together, we have an extraordinarily virulent disorder. In case you're not familiar with conduct disorder, it is the early appearance of lying, stealing, fighting, and preying on other children in an instrumental way. It is violating the rights of other people for your own gain. And it manifests early as the lying, the stealing, and the fighting, but other symptoms will develop thereafter. The hyperactive type of ADHD never existed because 90% of all cases go on to get the combined type within 3 years. And even if they don't get the combined type, they're just one symptom short. And so we call them subthreshold combined types, but they're not a different type. So if we take these 2 groups of children who really are just variations on the good old combined type of ADHD, that's 95% of all the kids put into this group. There is a small group left over who are purely oppositional. But because they have pure oppositional disorder and they never had ADHD, they will outgrow their ODD, usually within 2 to 4 years, and their ADHD will go away. Why are they there? Because parents confuse ODD with ADHD. And if their child is only oppositional, they often report that they have symptoms of ADHD when they don't. But ODD alone is a relatively benign disorder, unless it goes with ADHD, and then it is a highly persistent disorder.